A businesswoman bought sterling pounds equivalent to 600 Kenyan shillings after settling bills worth 1,200 sterling pounds. She changed the balance to euros. She then purchased goods worth 200 sterling pounds. So use the exchange rate below. Calculate his balance in Kenyan shillings. So we will first come here and ask ourselves. Of course, this is actually all about commercial arithmetic 1 and then commercial arithmetic 2 that gets done in a particular area in mathematics. So we are supposed to first employ that concept of commercial arithmetic 1 that a student gets introduced to in mathematics. And in this case, it's all about exchange rates, trying to see which one we are going to use in terms of buying or selling. So people always use this aspect of Kefose, where they say from Kenyan shillings to foreign, you sell. So Kenyan currency to foreign currency, you sell. That's what it means. Then, of course, from foreign to Kenyan, you buy. That is foreign to Kenyan, you buy. Because I'm a Kenyan, I think I'm going to use that concept because I'm not in a foreign country. We always use what we call the Kenyan shillings, the currency we always use in our normal daily lives. So from Kenyan currency to foreign currency, so KE Kenyan to FO foreign, we always sell. So use the selling column. But if you move from foreign currency to Kenyan currency, you buy. So foreign, maybe sterling pound, US dollars, euros, Nigerian naira. So from foreign to Kenyan, you have to actually do what we call the buying. Use the buying column. So let's proceed. There's this businesswoman who has bought sterling pounds equivalent to 600 Kenyan shillings. And she uses a particular amount of this money in sterling pounds to settle bills worth 1,200 sterling pounds. Then she changes the balance to euros. She then purchases goods worth 200 using the exchange rate below. Calculate his balance in Kenyan shillings. So we'll first convert this into sterling pounds. So you're moving from Kenyan to foreign, so you're supposed to sell. We have 600 Kenyan shillings that this woman has actually bought. Then whatever happens is that she tells her mind to settle bills worth 1,200 sterling pounds. Or what you can do, preferably, because we already know how much she has in Kenyan shillings, let's convert whatever she spends in sterling pounds into Kenyan shillings. Then minus this amount to see what is actually remaining. So you're moving now from foreign, which is sterling pounds, to Kenyan. So you're buying. So 1 sterling pound, as what you've seen here, is bought at 114.20. But how much can we now buy? 1,200 sterling pounds. I'm saying this. I have initially had 600,000 Kenyan shillings. After that conversion, of course, I've decided to actually take a small amount of this money and settle bills worth 1,200 sterling pounds. I need to ask myself, how much have I actually remained with? So I can decide to convert this money I've spent on settling bills into Kenyan shillings. Then I minus this initial amount of money in Kenyan shillings to see the remaining amount that I've actually had. So I want to see the exact amount of money equivalent to 1,200 sterling pounds. So I'll come here and just say 1,200 multiplied by 114.20. This calculator is again bringing those problems. We hope it is going to work. 114.20 multiplied by 1,200. I don't know if it is actually just, I don't know, 114.20. It is not working actually. I'll need to look for another one. Let's see. It is just bringing problems. So 114.20. Oh my goodness. me see if it is going to work. I need to look for something else to use. It is not working, so let me see. 114.20 multiplied by 1200. So that gives us 137,040 Kenyan shillings. So if you cross multiply 1200 multiplied by 114.20, I'll end up having 137,040 Kenyan shillings. So I'll just take the initial amount of money in Kenyan shillings that the person had, which is 600,000. Then I minus 137 and 40 Kenyan shillings to see the remaining balance. So I'll come here and say 600,000. Okay, 600,000 minus 137 and 40. That is 462,960. So I'll be left with 462,960 Kenyan shillings. Then I'll come here and then ask myself, she changed the balance to euros. So she's now going to change this balance to euros. Very good. So from Kenyan to foreign. Look at this. These Kenyan shillings, the remaining balance in Kenyan shillings. I've said that she had 600,000 initially. Then she decides to spend 1,200 sterling pounds to settle bills. So because the initial amount of money is in Kenyan shillings and the expenditure is in sterling pounds, you're supposed to use the same what? Currency. So you're supposed to change these sterling pounds into Kenyan shillings so that you can actually minus this initial amount of money to actually get the remaining amount. So I've converted these sterling pounds into Kenyan shillings. So from foreign to Kenyan, we have actually bought. So 1 sterling pound is bought at 114.20. You can see this. 1 sterling pound is bought at this. So what about these 1,200 sterling pounds used as the amount to settle bills? So you've actually gotten 137,040 Kenyan shillings. So we take the initial amount of money, 600,000 less whatever the person has spent. So this is equivalent to 1,200 sterling pounds. This is 137,040 Kenyan shillings. So she'll be left with this one. So she changes this into euros. So from Kenyan to foreign, we are going to sell. So 1 euro, students, is sold at 101.30. Because you're changing from Kenyan, the balance, to foreign, euros. So Kenyan currency to foreign currency, you sell. So 1 euro, because you're converting this remaining balance in Kenyan shillings to euro. So 1 euro is sold at 101.30. So what about 462,960? How many euros is this person going to get? In that case, let me see if my calculator is now working. So I'll have to cross multiply this. So please don't make a mistake of putting this figure here. You see, we said 1 sterling pound is this Kenyan shillings. What about this sterling pound? That's I placed here the sterling pounds. I cannot be able to put here because this Kenyan shillings, I cannot be able to put here sterling pounds. So 1 sterling pound is this amount. What about this sterling pounds? On the same side. Then 1 euro is sold at this amount of money in Kenyan shillings. What about this amount of money in Kenyan shillings? How many euros are they? So you can be able to see that. So I'll just say 1 times 462,960, then divide by 101.30. So it is not still working. Oh my goodness. 1 times 462,960 divided by 101.30. It is not working. It must be having a problem. Let me use this. So I'll come here and say 1 times 462,960. Then you divide this by 101.30. So I'm going to get 4570.876. So I'll just round off, no problem. Let me still first use those number of decimal places. So these are the euros that this person acquires. Then they're saying that she then purchased goods worth 200. You see? So again, she's actually purchasing goods worth this in sterling pounds. So you're supposed to actually convert these sterling pounds into euros. then less these euros to see the remaining amount of euros that the person ends up having. So you're changing from this to euros, and there's no relationship between sterling pound and euros. That is to say that you're supposed first to convert these sterling pounds into Kenyan shillings, then from Kenyan shillings to euros, because there's only a relationship between sterling pound and Kenyan shillings, and euros and Kenyan shillings. No relationship have we actually been given in this exchange rate between sterling pounds and euros. So you need to convert this into Kenyan shillings. Then you can convert that into euros. So we'll come here and say 1 sterling pound. Now we are moving from foreign to Kenyan. We're converting sterling pounds into Kenyan. So foreign to Kenyan. So that will be now buying. So 1 sterling pound is bought at 114.20. What about 200 sterling pounds? So you just cross multiply. So we shall have again that is 114.20. Then we multiply by 200. So that is 22,840. That is now the amount of money that the 200 sterling pounds is equivalent to in Kenyan shillings. Then you now convert this into euros. So shall come here and say 1 euro. So we're moving from Kenyan to foreign. So we sell 1 euro is sold at 101.30 Kenyan shillings. What about 22,840? So just cross multiply as well. So you shall have that answer divided by 101.30. So you'll be left with 225.4689. Those are now euros. So take this euros that the person had remained with. If we have to actually look at what we had in terms of the balance in Kenyan shillings, and you convert that balance into euros. So 462,960 Kenyan shillings is equivalent to 4,570.1876 euros. Then the person spends 22 sterling pounds to purchase goods. We convert the sterling pounds into Kenyan shillings, that is 22,840. The other expenditure now. Then you convert the amount of money the person has spent on purchasing goods into euros. We're actually going to get 225.4689 euros. So let's get the difference between those two to see the remaining balance. So we'll come here and say 4570.1876 minus 225.4689. Someone is wondering, why am I even using all these decimal places? Because we always want to get the level of accuracy in our final answer. So you'll be left with 4,344.7187 euros. They are told that calculate his balance in Kenyan shillings. So you're supposed to convert these euros into Kenyan shillings. This is now the remaining balance after all the expenditures. So we'll come here and say we are moving from foreign to Kenyan. You're supposed to buy. We're moving from this foreign currency, euros, and into Kenyan currency. So you're going to buy. So 1 euro is bought at 101.20. What about 4,344.7187? How much is that in Kenyan shillings? So just multiply, then you get the final answer. So we shall have that answer multiply by 101.20. So that gives us 439,685.6235. So shall just write that to 2 decimal places in terms of the cents. So shall have 0.60. This is the remaining amount of money in Kenyan shillings that the person had. Correct.